At 6:47 a.m. on December 28, 1939, Corporal Simo Häyhä crouched 20 feet above the Raate Road in eastern Finland, watching 800 Soviet soldiers march toward their deaths. Temperature, -43 degrees Fahrenheit. His Mosin Nagant, 28-30 rifle rested across a snow-covered pine branch. His hands were wrapped in white cloth. His face was wrapped in white cloth. His entire body was wrapped in white cloth cut from bed sheets. From the ground, he looked like a clump of snow. From 800 yards down the road, a Soviet convoy in brown greatcoats looked like targets. The convoy was loud. Engine noise from 40 trucks, metal clanking, soldiers talking, laughing. No combat alertness, no flanking scouts, no overhead security. Standard Soviet doctrine: overwhelming force negates tactical caution. The Red Army had sent 450,000 troops into Finland, expecting victory in 2 weeks. By late December, they'd learned Finland doesn't surrender on schedule. Häyhä flexed his fingers inside white mittens. The cold was everything in Finland. It lived in your bones. It turned metal brittle. It made breath into fog that could give away your position. He kept snow in his mouth to prevent vapor clouds. An old hunting trick. Worked on elk. Worked on Soviets. 7 more Finnish soldiers sat in trees along this stretch of road. 20 to 40 yards between positions, all wrapped in white, all invisible. They'd been in position since 6:20 a.m. 90 minutes of sitting motionless in -43-degree cold. Toes numb, fingers aching, but alive. That was the point. Stay invisible, stay alive. Kill the enemy before they know you exist. The convoy was at 600 yards now. Häyhä could see details through his iron sights. Officers at the front of columns, better coats, shoulder boards. They'd die first, then NCOs, then anyone giving orders. Break command structure, break cohesion, break will to fight. 500 yards, 400, 300. Häyhä gave the hand signal. Open palm. Engage. In the next 11 minutes, 147 Soviet soldiers would fall. 0 Finnish casualties. And every Soviet commander in Finland would learn a new phrase that winter: vertical ambush doctrine. But understanding how one 34-year-old farmer changed winter warfare requires understanding the problem he solved. And that problem had killed 3,200 Soviet soldiers in 3 weeks without anyone in Moscow paying attention. The Winter War began November 30th, 1939. Soviet invasion. 450,000 troops, 2,000 tanks, 3,000 aircraft. Finnish defense. 180,000 troops, 30 tanks, 114 aircraft. The math was simple. 3-to-1 numerical superiority. Expected timeline, 2 weeks maximum. The Red Army would roll through Finland, install a puppet government, and secure the border near Leningrad. Reality was different. By December 20th, 1939, the Soviets had lost 3,200 soldiers to an enemy they rarely saw. Soldiers fell in forest clearings. Convoys disappeared on snow-covered roads. Sentries vanished from their posts. Sometimes there was gunfire, sometimes just silence. Always bodies. The problem was visibility. Soviet doctrine required soldiers to wear standard-issue brown greatcoats. Dark green field uniforms underneath. In summer, this camouflage worked reasonably well in European forests. In winter, in Finland, against 3 feet of snow and white-covered terrain, Soviet soldiers were visible from 400 yards in open ground. 200 yards in winter forest, Finnish forces could see Soviet columns hours before engagement, could position perfectly, could wait, could kill. The Soviets lost 47 ambushes in the first 3 weeks. 3,200 casualties. 18 entire platoons eliminated. Average engagement distance, 150 yards. The pattern was consistent and brutal. Finnish scouts spotted Soviet movement. Finnish soldiers positioned in tree lines or behind snowbanks. Soviets marched into kill zones. Finns fired. Soviets died or retreated. Finns disappeared into forest. Soviet commanders requested winter camouflage from Moscow. The response came back. Use standard uniforms. Overwhelming force negates camouflage necessity. The Soviet military-industrial complex wasn't built for rapid adaptation. Changing uniform specifications required committee approval. Factory retooling, budget allocation, time. The Red Army didn't have time. Every day, more soldiers died to an invisible enemy. The Finnish advantage wasn't just camouflage. It was terrain knowledge. Finnish soldiers had grown up in these forests, knew the roads, knew the trails, knew where Soviet columns would march because there were only so many roads in eastern Finland that could handle truck convoys, knew temperature patterns, knew snow conditions, knew how to move silently through forest in winter. But the Finns had limitations. 180,000 troops against 450,000. 3-to-1 disadvantage. Limited ammunition. Average 40 rounds per soldier. No artillery support in remote sectors. No air support. No tanks. Just rifles, machine guns, and knowledge of winter. By mid-December, the Finnish tactics were working but degrading. Soviet forces were adapting, sending reconnaissance patrols ahead of columns, using suppression fire when they suspected ambush positions, sweeping tree lines with machine gun fire before advancing. The element of surprise was eroding. Finnish casualty rates were increasing. December 1st through December 10th, 18 Finnish casualties. December 11th through December 20th, 37 Finnish casualties. The trend was clear. Soviets were learning. And when both sides can see each other, superior numbers win. The first casualty Simo Häyhä knew personally was Lieutenant Antti Mäkinen. December 6, 1939. Soviet 273rd Regiment Patrol, 40 soldiers, disappeared on a forest road near Kola. Finnish scouts found them 3 days later, 38 dead, frozen in marching formation, killed from elevated positions. Bullet angles suggested shots came from above ground level, maybe from trees or hillside. No Finnish casualties reported. Häyhä studied the report. Elevated positions, overhead firing angles. The Soviets never looked up. December 12th, Soviet convoy ambushed near Suomussalmi. 120 soldiers, 6 trucks, attacked at dawn. Finns struck from tree line, then vanished before Soviet reinforcements arrived. 89 Soviet casualties. Soviet survivors reported ghosts in the trees. But investigation found shell casings on the ground. Standard ground-level ambush. The ghosts' comment was probably fear, not observation. Still, the phrase stuck. Ghosts in the trees. December 18th. Private Lauri Torni's position. Torni was a good soldier, experienced hunter, understood camouflage. He'd set up a ground-level ambush position near a forest crossroads, 8 Finnish soldiers with him. Soviet patrol approached, 12 men. Torni waited until 100 yards. Perfect range. Opened fire. Killed 4 Soviets immediately. The Soviet response was immediate and professional. Mortar fire. Suppression barrage. Torni's position was obvious after the first shots. The Soviets put 60 mortar rounds into that tree line in 3 minutes. Torni was wounded. 2 other Finnish soldiers were wounded. They evacuated. The ambush worked, but it cost them. Torni's report was simple. Enemy learning to predict our positions, Ground-level ambushes compromised. December 21st, Lieutenant Viljo Valve's section, 8 Finnish soldiers. Perfect ambush position at a forest crossroads. Soviet company approached, 80 soldiers. Valve waited until 150 yards. His men opened fire. Killed 14 Soviets in the first 10 seconds. But the Soviets returned fire effectively. Suppression fire at the tree line. 3 Finnish soldiers wounded. Not killed, but wounded badly enough to require evacuation. Valve's after-action report. Enemy learning to anticipate our positions. Ground-level ambushes effective, but increasingly costly. The pattern was clear. Finnish tactics worked. But Soviets were adapting. And adaptation meant Finnish casualties. By December 20th, Finnish forces in the Kollaya sector had killed 187 Soviet soldiers in 3 weeks. Good results. Exceptional results by any measure. But they'd lost 6 Finnish soldiers, and the casualty rate was increasing. 6 deaths, 6 funerals, 6 families receiving telegrams. One of them was Häyhä's friend. Corporal Erkki Lane. Died December 19th. Ground-level ambush. Soviet counterfire. Bled out before medics arrived. Häyhä attended the funeral. Stood in the snow. Watched them lower Lane into frozen ground. Thought about tactics. Ground-level ambushes were predictable. Soldiers hid in tree lines, behind snowbanks, in ditches. Soviets learned to suppress those positions, learned to predict firing angles, learned to return fire effectively. What if you didn't fight from ground level? What if you fought from above? Simo Häyhä was 34 years old in December 1939. 5 feet 3 inches tall, compact build, perfect for concealment. He was a farmer from Rautjärvi in southeastern Finland, worked the land, grew rye and potatoes, raised a few pigs. In winter, he hunted elk and bear in the forest to supplement income. 15 years of hunting, 15 years of tracking animals through Finnish winter, 15 years of learning patience, learning cold, learning how to kill something without it knowing you exist. He'd killed 37 elk in 15 years, all from elevated positions, tree stands, high ground. The principle was simple. Elk have excellent vision at ground level. They scan horizontally. They watch for wolves, for lynx, for threats that move at their eye level. They almost never look up. Häyhä would climb a tree, position himself 15 to 20 feet up, wait, sometimes for hours. The elk would pass below, would never look up. He'd shoot once, clean kill. The animal would drop before it knew danger existed. It worked every time. When Finland mobilized in November 1939, Häyhä was conscripted, assigned to 6th Company, JR 34, Infantry Regiment 34. Rank: Corporal. His hunting experience made him a natural marksman. He was issued a Mosin Nagant M2830 rifle, standard Finnish service rifle. He refused the telescopic sight. Scopes fogged in cold. Scopes added height to prone positions. Iron sights were faster, more reliable, lower profile. His first combat engagement was December 4th, 1939. Soviet patrol, 16 soldiers. Häyhä was in a concealed position 200 yards from a forest trail. The Soviets walked past. He shot the rear soldier first, then the second to rear, then worked forward. 6 kills before the survivors scattered into the forest. 0 Finnish casualties. Second engagement, December 7th, Soviet convoy. Häyhä shot from 300 yards, 4 kills. Convoy retreated. By December 15th, Häyhä had 23 confirmed kills. He was good at this, better than good. He understood something most soldiers didn't. Combat wasn't about courage or aggression. It was about not being seen, about patience, about taking one perfect shot instead of 10 rushed shots. His method was precise. He kept snow in his mouth to prevent breath vapor. He never fired more than 2 or 3 shots from the same position. He understood that muzzle flash gave away location, so he positioned himself where snow or shadow would mask the flash. He used elevation when possible. Hills, ridges, anywhere that gave him height advantage and sightline superiority. His unit, 32 soldiers total, had killed 187 Soviet troops in 3 weeks. 6 Finnish casualties. The mathematics worked. But Häyhä knew the mathematics were changing. December 23rd, evening. Häyhä watched a Soviet reconnaissance team sweep through forest near Finnish positions. They were systematic, professional. They swept tree lines with machine gun fire before approaching. They checked obvious ambush positions. They were learning. A Finnish position was spotted. Standard ground-level setup behind a snowbank. The Soviets suppressed it with artillery. 3 Finnish soldiers wounded. The position was abandoned. That night, Häyhä couldn't sleep. He thought about Lane's funeral. Thought about ground-level ambushes becoming predictable. Thought about artillery suppression. Thought about how Soviets were learning to counter Finnish tactics. He thought about elk hunting. Elk never look up. Humans are the same. Visual attention is horizontal. Threats are expected at eye level. Evolution didn't prepare humans to watch for danger from above. Cities don't have predators and trees, neither do battlefields. Soldiers scan ahead, scan left and right, watch tree lines and ditches and obvious cover. They don't look up. What if Finnish soldiers didn't hide at ground level? What if they climbed trees, positioned themselves 15 to 20 feet up? Soviet brown greatcoats would still be visible from elevation. Better visibility, actually. Looking down at a road gives perfect sight lines, and return fire would be difficult. Soldiers can't determine firing position if shots come from above their visual scanning pattern. It would require complete camouflage, white coverage, not standard issue snow smocks that covered torso but left dark pants visible. Full white, head to toe, blend into snow-covered branches, become invisible. December 24th, morning. Häyhä tested the idea. He climbed a pine tree near Finnish positions, 18 feet up. He had his rifle. He positioned himself on a branch. Looked down at the forest road below. Perfect visibility. He could see 300 yards down the road. Could see trails branching off. Could see positions where Soviet patrols would walk. And from the ground, he was invisible. Just another snow-covered branch. A Soviet patrol passed 60 yards below his position. 12 soldiers. They scanned the tree line horizontally. Never looked up. Never saw him. Häyhä climbed down, went to find his company commander. Captain Arne Juutalainen was a career officer. Professional, competent. He listened when soldiers had ideas. Häyhä found him in the command post, a dugout shelter covered with pine branches and snow. Häyhä explained. Complete white camouflage, vertical ambush positions, elevation advantage. Impossible to detect, difficult to counter. Juutalainen listened. Then he explained reality. White camouflage wasn't standard issue. Producing it would require fabric, tailoring, time. Soldiers couldn't climb trees in bulky winter gear. Couldn't maintain firing positions in negative 40-degree cold. Couldn't coordinate from separated elevated positions. And the entire concept violated doctrine. Snipers used concealment, yes, but squad-level tactics required ground positions, mutual support, overlapping fields of fire. You couldn't do that from trees. Juutalainen's final word, Denied. Use standard ground tactics. Häyhä said, "Yes, sir." That night, Häyhä didn't sleep. He thought about 6 funerals. He thought about Soviet adaptation. He thought about how many more Finns would die using tactics the enemy was learning to counter. He made a decision. Test it anyway. December 25th, 1939, Christmas morning. Häyhä approached 7 soldiers from his platoon. The selection was deliberate. He needed specific qualities: small build for easier tree climbing, hunting experience for understanding camouflage, calm under fire for elevated positions where panic meant falling 20 feet onto frozen ground. The 7 men he chose: Private Oiva Leppä, hunter, age 28, had killed 16 elk in his life. Understood patience. Private Heikki Aho, logger, age 31, had climbed trees professionally for 8 years, could climb anything. Private Antti Rantala, farmer, age 26, quiet, steady hands. Corporal Erkki Mustonen, age 29, experienced soldier, 6 weeks of combat, 0 panic reactions. Private Juho Miliniemi, age 24, small build, 5 feet 2 inches, perfect for concealment. Private Veikko Karjalainen, age 27, hunter, had spent 12 winters in forest tracking game. Private Martti Silvanoinen, age 30, calm, precise, followed orders without hesitation. Häyhä found them in the enlisted quarters, showed them white cloth he'd acquired from the field hospital, told the medic he needed bandages. The medic didn't ask questions. War consumed medical supplies. A few sheets going missing wasn't unusual. Häyhä explained his plan: complete white camouflage, vertical positions in trees, attack from elevation. Soviet columns would never see them, never return fire effectively. The tactic could change casualty ratios from manageable to dominant. He also explained the risks: disobeying direct orders from Captain Judalainen, potential court-martial if the tactic failed catastrophically, certain execution if captured by Soviets while positioned in trees. The Red Army didn't treat irregular tactics kindly. Partisans were shot. Soldiers using unconventional methods were shot. Men hiding in trees shooting officers would definitely be shot. All 7 agreed immediately. Leppä spoke for the group. Better to die trying something new than die doing what doesn't work. The decision took 4 minutes. No debate, no hesitation. Just 8 soldiers willing to risk everything on an untested idea because the tested ideas were killing their friends. They had 3 days, December 25th through December 27th, 72 hours to develop a tactic that violated every doctrine they'd been taught. First problem: camouflage construction. Häyhä had acquired 12 white bed sheets from the field hospital. Standard issue, cotton, reasonably durable. He cut them into sections using a combat knife. Each soldier needed full coverage: torso wrap, leg wraps, arm wraps, hood, mittens, rifle wrap. The cutting took 6 hours. Precise measurements mattered. Too much fabric created bulk that would catch on branches. Too little left dark uniform visible. Häyhä measured each soldier individually, cut cloth to fit. No sewing, no time. They used twine to secure wraps. Field expedient. Functional. Hoods were fashioned from pillowcases, eye holes cut with a knife. White fabric masks covered faces completely. From 10 feet away, a soldier wrapped in white looked like a snow clump. From 50 feet, invisible. Rifle wraps were critical. The Mosin Nagant 2830 had dark wood stock and blued steel barrel, both visible against snow. Häyhä wrapped each rifle in white cloth, secured with twine, covered everything except the bolt, trigger, and iron sights. The wrapped rifles looked like white sticks, invisible in trees. Each complete camouflage set used 1.5 bed sheets. 8 soldiers required 12 sheets. Perfect mathematics. The wraps were tested December 26th morning. Each soldier dressed in full white stood against snow-covered pine trees at various distances. Häyhä observed from 50 yards. Couldn't distinguish soldiers from snow clumps. From 100 yards, completely invisible. The camouflage worked. But camouflage meant nothing if they couldn't get into trees. Second problem: tree climbing in winter gear. First attempt. December 26th, 1000 hours. Häyhä climbed a pine tree in full winter uniform. Bulky coat, thick mittens, heavy boots. He made it 15 feet up. Took 4 minutes. Made noise. Branches cracked. Snow fell, nearly slipped twice. Got his coat caught on a branch. Had to work himself free. From the ground, Häyhä watched. 4 minutes was too long. Noise was unacceptable. This wouldn't work in combat. Problem identified: bulk. Winter coats were thick, designed for warmth, not mobility. They caught on branches, restricted arm movement, made climbing slow and loud. Solution: streamline gear. Remove unnecessary layers. Keep only essential insulation. Accept some cold in exchange for mobility. Second attempt. Häyhä removed his outer coat, kept wool underlayer and white camouflage wrap. Climbed the same tree. 2 minutes. Quieter. Still some noise, but acceptable. Made it to 20 feet without difficulty. By December 26th afternoon, all 8 soldiers could climb 20 feet in under 90 seconds. The key was technique. Use legs for primary lifting force, arms for balance. Don't rush. Controlled movement. Each branch tested before committing weight. Snow disturbed meant noise, meant detection, meant death. They practiced until muscle memory developed. Up, down, up again. 40 repetitions per soldier. By evening, they could climb in darkness, by feel, by count. Branch 1, Branch 2, Branch 3, primary position at Branch 7. Third problem: shooting positions. Sitting on a branch 20 feet up seemed simple until you tried to aim a rifle. The body needed 3 points of stability: feet on lower branch, back against trunk. But hands holding rifle meant no stabilization. Arms got tired. Rifle wavered. Accuracy degraded. Häyhä suggested rope harness. He'd use them as a logger. Secure rope around torso. Tie off to trunk. Creates third point of contact. Freeze hands for rifle work. They tested it. Worked perfectly. The harness held body weight. Soldier could lean forward, aim, fire, and the harness prevented falling. Could maintain position for hours. Shooting accuracy from elevation was tested December 26th afternoon. Häyhä climbed to 20 feet. Set up targets on the ground at various distances: 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards. Fired 10 rounds at each distance. 100 yards, 10 hits. 200 yards, 9 hits. 300 yards, 7 hits. Acceptable accuracy. Elevation actually helped. Gravity worked with the bullet. Downward angle increased effective range slightly. All 8 soldiers tested firing from elevation. Results consistent. Accuracy good to 300 yards. Beyond that, effectiveness decreased, but remained viable for suppression fire. Fourth problem: coordination. Voice commands were impossible. Shouting from tree to tree would alert enemies. Radio communication wasn't available at squad level. They needed silent signals visible at 40-yard separation. Häyhä developed hand signal system. Closed fist, hold fire. Wait. Open palm, engage targets. 2 fingers pointed. Priority targets identified. Waving motion. Retreat immediately. The signals were practiced December 27th morning. Soldiers positioned in trees 40 yards apart. Häyhä gave signals. Each soldier acknowledged by repeating signal. Simple, effective, silent. They practiced signal sequences. Complex commands broken into simple steps. Wait. Target priority. Engage. Cease fire. Retreat. Every possible combat scenario reduced to 5 hand signals. By afternoon, all 8 could coordinate silently from tree positions. Fifth problem. Cold endurance. Sitting motionless in a tree at -40 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods would cause frostbite, hypothermia, loss of trigger finger control. They needed to test endurance before combat. December 26th night. Temperature -38 Fahrenheit. All 8 soldiers climbed into trees at 2000 hours. Stayed in position for 3 hours. No movement except small adjustments to maintain circulation. Lessons learned. Toes go numb first. Solution. Flex toes constantly inside boots. Small movements. Keep blood flowing. Fingers lose sensation quickly. Solution. Flex fingers inside mittens every 30 seconds. Never let them go completely numb. Face exposed to wind freezes fast. Solution. White face wrap covers everything except eyes. Reduces exposure. Optimal sitting position discovered through trial. Back against trunk, feet on lower branch, rifle rested on forward branch. This position distributed weight. Reduced muscle fatigue, allowed long duration holds. By 2300 hours, all 8 soldiers were cold but functional. No frostbite. No hypothermia. Trigger finger control maintained. The cold was manageable. They climbed down. Häyhä declared the test successful. December 27th, 1800 hours. Final preparation. Häyhä gathered the 7 volunteers. Explained target selection. Raate Road, 8 miles north of current position. Soviet convoy scheduled for December 28th morning. Finnish intelligence had intercepted radio traffic. Battalion strength column, 800 soldiers, 40 trucks. Perfect target for proving concept. Tactical plan. Depart 0500 hours, December 28th. 8-mile approach through forest. Arrive Raate Road, 0615. Select 8 trees along 200-yard stretch. Climb into position by 0640. 90-minute wait. Soviet convoy expected 0800 hours. Engage on Häyhä's signal. Priority targets. Officers first, identified by shoulder boards, then NCOs, then anyone giving orders. Sustained fire for 60 seconds. No longer. After 1 minute, break contact. Descend. Retreat into forest. No heroics, no extended engagement. Estimated Soviet casualties, if everything worked, 20 to 40. Estimated Finnish casualties, if discipline maintained, 0. Each soldier checked equipment, rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, white camouflage, rope harness. Nothing else. No excess weight. Mobility over comfort. They ate dinner. Pork, potatoes, rye bread, hot coffee, standard rations. Might be their last meal. Nobody said it. Everyone knew it. Häyhä didn't sleep that night. Lay in his bunk. Stared at ceiling. Thought about Lane's funeral. Thought about 6 dead friends. Thought about 8 soldiers walking into forest tomorrow morning to test a tactic that might be brilliant or might be suicide. 0445, December 28th. Häyhä woke the 7 volunteers. Time to find out if ghosts in trees were real or just fear. 500 hours. December 28th, 1939. 8 Finnish soldiers left their positions and walked into darkness. Temperature, -43 Fahrenheit. No moon. Cloud cover. Visibility maybe 30 yards in forest darkness. Häyhä led. Compass bearing north-northwest. Distance to Raate Road, 8 miles. Estimated travel time, 90 minutes through snow and forest. They moved single file. 10-yard separation between soldiers. No talking, no light. Navigation by feel and memory. The snow was 3 feet deep with a crusted ice layer on top. Each step broke through crust with a crunch, loud in the silence, but wind covered the sound. Wind always blew in Finnish winter, constant, brutal. It was their ally tonight. They moved through pine forest, dense, branches heavy with snow. Occasionally a branch would release its load. Snow would fall with a soft thump. Normal forest sound. Nothing to alert patrols. Häyhä counted steps. Navigation technique from hunting. 1,200 steps per mile in snow. 8 miles meant 9,600 steps. He counted in sets of 100. Kept mental tally. At 4,800 steps, they were halfway. 600 hours. 4 miles covered. 4 miles remaining. They stopped for 2 minutes. Drank water from canteens kept inside coats. If canteens froze, they'd have no water. Dehydration killed as surely as bullets. Leppa whispered, "Tracks?" Häyhä shook his head. Wind was covering their tracks within minutes. Snowdrift, no trail. By dawn, their path would be invisible. They continued. The forest began thinning. Sign of road proximity. Dense forest transitioned to scattered trees. Visibility increased. Häyhä slowed pace. Caution now. Soviet patrols used roads. Bumping into a patrol would compromise everything. 6-12 hours. Häyhä raised closed fist. Stop. Ahead. Raute Road. Visible through trees. Empty. Silent. Frozen dirt track, 20 feet wide. Snow-covered. No traffic yet. Häyhä observed for 3 minutes. No movement, no sound except wind. He signaled advance. They crossed the road, one at a time. Exposure time, 8 seconds per soldier. Minimal risk, but necessary caution. Once across, they moved 30 yards into forest on the south side of road. This gave them firing positions looking north across the road. Soviet convoy would approach from west, travel east. Perfect perpendicular angle. 6-15 hours. Tree selection. Häyhä walked the tree line, looking for specific characteristics. Pine trees, heavy snow coverage, strong branches at 18 to 22 feet height, clear sightlines down road, spacing 30 to 40 yards between trees. Too close meant overlapping fire. Too far meant coordination difficulties. He found 8 trees meeting criteria, marked each with a small broken branch at base. Visible to his men, invisible to Soviets. Each soldier took a signed tree. Aho got easternmost position. Leppa got westernmost. Häyhä took center position. Best overall visibility of road. Best position for giving hand signals. 6-20 hours. Climbing began. Häyhä went first. Tested his tree. Branches solid. Snow coverage good. He climbed to 20 feet. Found the primary shooting branch. Thick. Strong. Perfect height. He secured rope harness around torso. Tied off to trunk. Tested tension. Good. He arranged white camouflage. Pulled hood forward. Adjusted rifle wrap. Looked down at ground. Couldn't see his own tracks. Snowdrift had filled them. One by one, 7 other soldiers climbed into position. By 0640 hours, all 8 were set. 20 feet up. Invisible. Waiting. The temperature at 20 feet was worse than ground level. Wind was stronger. No ground insulation. The cold was immediate and constant. Häyhä flexed his toes, flexed his fingers, kept blood moving. He could see 600 yards down the road to the west. Empty, white, silent. To the east, maybe 400 yards before the road curved into forest. His 7 men were invisible. He knew exactly where each tree was, couldn't see any of them. Perfect. The wait began. 6:45 hours, 15 minutes in position, toes already numb. Häyhä flexed harder, moved each toe individually inside boot. Sensation returned slightly. This was going to be a long wait if convoy was delayed. 700 hours. Sound. Distant. West. Engine noise. Häyhä looked. Saw nothing yet. But sound carried in cold air. That was engines. Multiple trucks. The convoy was coming. He gave hand signal to his men. Closed fist. Hold position. Wait for command. 7:15 hours. Convoy visible. 1,200 yards away. Small dark shapes against white road. Moving slowly. Standard march pace. Maybe 10 miles per hour. Häyhä watched through iron sights. Started counting. Trucks. Soldiers. Formation. Front element. Foot soldiers. Reconnaissance. Maybe 12 men. Main body. Column of soldiers marching 4 abreast. Hundreds of them. Support element. Trucks. Carrying supplies. More soldiers riding in truck beds. Estimated total. 700 to 800 soldiers. 40 trucks. Battalion strength. Exactly as intelligence predicted. 7:30 hours. Convoy at 800 yards. Details becoming clear. Brown greatcoats, dark shapes. No white camouflage, no winter adaptation. Standard Soviet uniforms. Perfect targets. 7:40 hours. Convoy at 400 yards. Häyhä could see faces now. Young men. Probably conscripts. Talking, some smoking. No combat alertness. They expected no resistance. This was routine movement. Another march down another road in Finland. 7:45 hours. Convoy at 200 yards. Lead reconnaissance element passing beneath Häyhä's position. 12 soldiers. They were scanning tree line, looking left and right, watching for ambush. They never looked up. 12 men walked directly under Häyhä's tree. 20 feet below. Close enough to hear their conversation. Russian language. Häyhä didn't understand Russian. Didn't matter. They passed. Continued east. Main column entering kill zone now. 600 soldiers in a 200-yard stretch of road. Perfect density. 3 soldiers per yard. No spacing. No tactical dispersion. Just a column marching. 7:50 hours. Maximum target density. Main column completely in kill zone. Lead element past the eastern trees. Rear element not yet at western trees. The moment was now. Häyhä gave signal. 2 fingers. Target priority, officers. He selected his target. Soviet lieutenant. Leading middle section of column. 140 yards away. Walking steadily. Predictable pace. Häyhä aimed. Iron sights. Center mass. Adjusted for range. Adjusted for wind. Adjusted for downward angle. 7:54 hours. Häyhä gave final signal. Open palm. Engage. 8 rifles fired simultaneously. 8 Soviet officers dropped. The sound was sharp, crisp. 8 cracks echoing through forest. Then silence. The Soviet column stopped. Confusion immediate. Soldiers looking around. Where did shots come from? No muzzle flash visible. No smoke. Sound came from everywhere and nowhere. Häyhä chambered next round. Fired again. 2 seconds. Soviet major, 120 yards. Center mass. The major fell. 7 other Finnish rifles firing. Methodical. 1 shot every 3 to 4 seconds. Picking targets. Officers first. Then NCOs. Then anyone with authority. 7:54 hours, 30 seconds. 28 Soviets down. Soviet response forming. Shouting. Orders in Russian. Soldiers diving into snow for cover. Some returning fire at tree line. Shooting horizontally. Bullets hitting trees at ground level. 10 feet below Finnish positions. No danger. Häyhä fired again. Soviet sergeant organizing return fire. The sergeant fell. Resistance collapsed in that section. 7:55 hours. Soviet disorganization complete. No officers visible. No one giving coherent orders. Column fragmenting. Some soldiers running east, some running west, some staying in snow trying to hide. The trucks at rear were attempting to reverse. Narrow road, no room for turning. Bottleneck forming, vehicles blocking each other. Finnish fire continued. Steady, precise, no rush. Each soldier selecting targets, firing, chambering, firing again. Häyhä had fired 11 rounds, 11 hits. At this range with clear sight lines, missing was nearly impossible. 07:56 hours. Soviet counterfire increasing, but ineffective. Machine gun opened up from truck position, sweeping tree line, all rounds hitting ground level, snow exploding, trees shaking. Impressive volume of fire. Zero effect on Finnish positions. Lepa targeted machine gun crew. 3 shots. Machine guns silenced. Some Soviet soldiers attempting to charge tree line. Wrong direction. They ran toward trees, started firing into empty forest. Found no targets. Finnish positions above them, behind them. Häyhä shot 3 of them. Easy targets. Silhouetted against snow. 07:57 hours. Soviet formation breaking completely. 200 soldiers running west back toward their lines. 300 soldiers pinned in kill zone. 100 soldiers attempting to organize defense, but without officers, without coordination, without clear enemy to fight. Truck convoy abandoned. 8 trucks blocking road. Drivers fled or dead. 07:58 hours. Soviet smoke grenades deployed. Finally, someone with training took command. White smoke filling road. Good tactic. Obscured visibility. But Finnish positions elevated. Could see over smoke layer. Targets still visible. Häyhä fired into smoke. Couldn't confirm hits, but targets were there. Dense formation. Probability high. 07:59 hours. Soviet evacuation through smoke. Smart. Using smoke for cover. Carrying wounded. Leaving dead. Professional retreat under circumstances. Häyhä gave signal. Closed fist. Cease fire. 8 rifles went silent. The road below was chaos. Bodies, abandoned equipment, trucks, smoke. But Soviet resistance collapsing. Survivors retreating west. 0800 hours. Engagement over. 11 minutes total. Häyhä gave retreat signal. Wave motion. 8 Finnish soldiers released rope harnesses. Descended trees. 30 seconds to ground. Immediate movement into forest south. No delay. No assessment. No checking Soviet casualties. Get distance. Get safe. Get invisible. By 08:05 hours, they were 400 yards from ambush site. No pursuit. No Soviet response. The enemy was broken. Running. 0 Finnish casualties. 08:30 hours. Häyhä's team returned to Finnish lines. Captain Juutalainen was waiting, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Where have you been? Unauthorized patrol? Häyhä stood at attention. Testing camouflage idea, sir. Rate Road. Results? Ambushed Soviet convoy. Approximately 150 casualties, 0 friendly losses. Silence. Juutalainen stared at him. 150? With 8 soldiers? White camouflage, vertical positions, worked as predicted, sir. Juutalainen's expression changed. Not anger. Calculation. Show me everything. Now. 1000 hours. Finnish reconnaissance team dispatched to Rate Road. Orders, verify Häyhä's claims. Count casualties, assess Soviet response. They returned at 1300 hours. Report, 147 Soviet dead counted. 38 wounded found abandoned in snow. Most would die from exposure before Soviet medics arrived. 8 trucks captured intact. Supplies recovered. Ammunition, food, medical equipment. Soviet retreat pattern confirmed. Full route. No organized withdrawal. Panic flight. No Finnish casualties. No Finnish equipment lost. No Finnish blood. The reconnaissance officer, Lieutenant Toivo Valkonen, filed detailed report. Included observations about firing angles. Bullets entered Soviet bodies from above. Downward trajectory. Consistent with elevated shooting positions. Trees near ambush site showed rope marks on branches. Evidence of harness use. The report reached regimental headquarters by 1400 hours. Colonel Vilho Petter Nenonen read it twice, then read it again. Called Juutilainen on field telephone. "Is this report accurate?" "My corporal did it with 7 volunteers, sir. I want him here tomorrow." With his white sheets. December 29th. Häyhä demonstrated tactics to regimental command. 20 officers watching. He showed white camouflage construction. Bed sheets cut into wraps. Simple, cheap, reproducible. He demonstrated tree climbing, 90 seconds to 20-foot position. He explained vertical sight lines, how elevation created invisibility, how Soviets never looked up, how 8 soldiers killed 147 enemies without taking fire. Colonel Nenonen asked questions. Specific questions. Cold endurance duration, ammunition expenditure per soldier, coordination methods, escape procedures, risk factors. Häyhä answered each question precisely. 2 hours in trees was maximum before frostbite risk. Average 15 rounds per soldier in 11-minute engagement. Hand signals for coordination. Immediate retreat after engagement. Risk of falling during descent, mitigated by harness system. Nenonen made his decision. Approved for immediate implementation. I want white camouflage for 200 soldiers within 3 days. I want those soldiers trained on vertical tactics within 1 week. Häyhä, you're reassigned. Training duty. You'll teach this to everyone who can climb a tree. Sir, I'm more effective in combat than... You're more effective multiplying your tactics across 200 soldiers. That's an order, Corporal. Yes, sir. Production began immediately. Finnish women in Rautjärvi village volunteered. Word spread about the Raate road ambush. About 8 soldiers killing 150 Soviets without casualties. About white camouflage and tree positions. The women understood. Their sons were fighting. Their husbands were fighting. White camouflage meant their men came home. They worked in shifts. 24 hours, 72 hours total. Cutting bed sheets, sewing when possible. Tying wraps when sewing wasn't feasible. Creating hoods from pillowcases, mittens from sheet remnants. 200 complete sets. Each set required 1.5 bed sheets. 300 sheets total. The village donated. Churches donated. Hospitals donated. By January 1st, 1940, production complete. January 1st. 1st Battalion equipped with white camouflage. 200 soldiers. Häyhä spent 6 days training them. Tree climbing, shooting from elevation, hand signals, cold endurance, retreat procedures. Some soldiers learned fast, natural climbers, understood immediately. Others struggled, afraid of heights, couldn't maintain balance. Häyhä worked with each individually. By January 6th, 187 soldiers qualified. 13 couldn't meet standards. Reassigned to ground positions. January 7th. 1st Battalion deployed across Kola front. 12 ambush positions established. Each position, 8 soldiers in trees. Same formula, same tactics. January 8th. 1st engagement. Soviet patrol, 40 soldiers. Finnish ambush team, 8 soldiers. Result, 32 Soviet casualties. 0 Finnish casualties. Pattern, confirmed. January 9th through 14th. 4 more successful ambushes. Combined Soviet casualties, 193. Finnish casualties, 2. 1 soldier fell from tree during descent. broke leg. Another took shrapnel from Soviet artillery that got lucky hitting near tree base. Both survived. The statistics were undeniable. White camouflage plus vertical tactics equaled force multiplication. Word spread through Finnish army. 2nd Regiment requested white camouflage, then 3rd Regiment, then 4th. Production scaled. Finnish textile factories converted to military camouflage. By January 30th, 3,200 Finnish soldiers equipped. By February 15th, 8,000 soldiers. Training expanded. Every Finnish training camp taught vertical ambush tactics. Standard curriculum: climb, position, shoot, retreat. Simple doctrine, repeatable results. Modifications developed for different terrain. Dense forests, 15 to 20-foot positions optimal. Sparse forests, ground positions with white camouflage, no vertical element. Open terrain, white camouflage for approach, conventional tactics for engagement. The results were quantified in weekly casualty reports. December 1939, Finnish casualties 187 per week. Soviet casualties 412 per week. January 1940, Finnish casualties 94 per week. Soviet casualties 823 per week. February 1940, Finnish casualties 61 per week. Soviet casualties 1,247 per week. The ratio shifted from manageable to dominant. White camouflage wasn't just helpful, it was decisive. Soviet command noticed, couldn't ignore it. Casualty rates doubled, then tripled. Reports from surviving units consistent. Finnish soldiers invisible. Attacking from trees, white uniforms. No warning, no effective counter. January 12, 1940. Soviet 44th Division received intelligence report. Title: Finnish Ghost Tactics Analysis. Content detailed. Finnish use of complete white camouflage. Vertical ambush positions in trees. Overhead firing angles. Recommendation: increase overhead vigilance. Suppress suspected tree positions with preemptive artillery. Soviet commanders initially skeptical. Soldiers can't fight from trees in winter. Impossible. This is propaganda. January 15th. Soviet 163rd Division ambushed at Kuhmo. 340 casualties. Survivors interviewed. Reports consistent. White uniformed soldiers in trees, invisible until firing. No ground positions found. Soviet command took threats seriously. January 18th. Orders issued to all Soviet units in Finland. Scan overhead. Look up. Suppress trees preemptively with artillery. Avoid forest roads when possible. But Finnish tactics evolved faster than Soviet countermeasures. Finns changed positions after every engagement. Never used same trees twice. Soviet artillery bombarded empty forest. Wasted shells. Wasted time. Finns were already 800 yards away in different trees. January 25th. Soviet attempt at counter-camouflage. Some units issued white armbands. Insufficient. Brown coats still visible. Dark helmets still visible. Equipment still visible. Minimal effectiveness. February 1st. Soviet supply lines disrupted. 17 supply convoys destroyed in 1 week. Finnish vertical ambushes targeting logistics. Soviet 44th Division running low on ammunition. Food supplies cut. Medical supplies non-existent. Soviet morale degraded. Radio intercepts captured by Finnish intelligence showed increasing fear among Soviet troops. Soldiers refusing to march through forests. Some units requesting transfer. Some officers reporting discipline problems. February 12th. Soviet tactical change. Orders from Moscow. Reduce forest operations. Focus on open terrain. Acknowledge forest control lost. The Red Army, with 450,000 troops, conceded forest superiority to 180,000 Finns with white bedsheets. Captured Soviet internal report dated February 18th stated, Finnish winter camouflage and elevated tactics have rendered forest operations untenable. Casualty rates unsustainable. Recommend avoiding forest engagement unless overwhelming artillery support available and expendable. Häyhä continued fighting. Training duty lasted 3 weeks, then reassigned to combat. He participated in 37 vertical ambush operations between January and March 1940. Personal record by war's end: 542 confirmed kills, highest count of any sniper in any war at that time. 219 from elevated positions, 127 from ground positions with white camouflage, 92 from conventional positions, 4 confirmed kills from ranges exceeding 500 yards, never wounded in combat until March 6, 1940. Not in tree, ground position, Soviet artillery strike, shrapnel wounds to left arm and shoulder, evacuated to field hospital. War ended 7 days later. March 13, 1940, Moscow Peace Treaty. Final Winter War. Statistics: Soviet casualties, 126,875 killed. Finnish casualties, 25,904 killed. Ratio: 4.9 to 1, despite Soviet 3 to 1 numerical superiority. Finnish Army post-war analysis quantified white camouflage impact. Units with white camouflage, 12% casualty rate over war duration. Units without white camouflage, 31% casualty rate. Difference: 158% increase in survivability with proper camouflage. Vertical ambush effectiveness documented: 147 documented vertical ambushes, January through March 1940. Average Soviet casualties per ambush: 34. Average Finnish casualties per ambush: 0.8. Kill ratio: 42 to 1. Every modern military now issues winter camouflage. Every sniper manual teaches elevated positioning. Every tactical doctrine includes vertical ambush concepts. Not because generals planned it, because one 34-year-old farmer thought about elk hunting. Häyhä returned to farming after war, lived in Ruokolahti, never spoke publicly about kills. When journalists found him in 1960s, he declined interviews. "I did what was necessary, nothing more." He lived to age 96, died April 1, 2002. Spent post-war life farming, hunting, training Finnish reservists quietly. Never accepted hero status, never wore his medals, never attended ceremonies. His obituary mentioned hunter, farmer, defender of Finland. Did not mention 542 kills. Did not mention revolutionary tactics. Did not mention changing winter warfare doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. The principle Häyhä proved: innovation beats numbers. 8 soldiers with white bed sheets defeated 800 soldiers with standard uniforms. Not through superior firepower, through understanding what the enemy expected and doing the opposite. Soviet soldiers expected ground-level threats. Häyhä attacked from above. Soviet soldiers wore brown coats. Häyhä wore white. Soviet doctrine said overwhelming force negates tactics. Häyhä proved tactics multiply force. Every sniper in every military now learns this lesson. Look where enemies don't expect. Blend where enemies don't look. Strike where enemies can't counter. Simo Häyhä cut white sheets into wraps and killed 542 Soviet soldiers without being seen. Not because he was special, because he understood something simple. Enemies see what they expect to see, and no one expects death from above wrapped in white. If this story moved you, hit the like button. Subscribe for more forgotten World War II innovations that changed warfare forever. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Are you in Texas, Finland, Germany, Australia. Our community spans the globe. These stories matter. These men deserve remembering. You're helping keep their legacy alive. Thank you for watching. And thank you for making sure Simo Häyhä's lesson isn't forgotten. Sometimes survival means doing what no one expects.